Resichat, all things housing, room block, and reservation management. We're your hosts, Bill and Dharmesh. Today, we're going to discuss what to look for in a housing platform. And the style that we have is basic back and forth interview questions that we've heard from outside that Dharm and I will answer and weigh in on each other's answers as we go through. And we'll wrap up with some key insights and points for you to take home. So with that, why don't we go into the first question of what is a housing platform?
First of all, hey Bill, how's it going?
Hey, Dharm, I'm doing well.
Great.
Thanks.
All right. Hopefully you like my new setup. I'm super excited about it. And well, let's get started. So your first question is, what is a housing management platform? Correct?
Correct.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, housing management platform, the essence of it is to help you streamline your workflow when you're dealing with multiple hotels. It could also work for one hotel too. But let's say from each hotel, you got a contract coming on board, you've signed a contract, and now you have to manage it. And then what that means is, what is the best way that you're actually looking at your pickup time, your pickup ratio numbers, for instance. So that's number one. Like, how do you make sure that you're making the right decisions on demand as you require it? So, for example, let's say something happened where there's no pickup occurring, but then you're getting your scheduled report from the hotel's platform on a weekly basis. So now your frequency or cadence is on a weekly basis rather than your cadence being literally on demand. So that is the biggest difference. And then the best part is because the platform would consolidate all your contracts in one system, it gives you a good overarching view of all your data. So that makes it a lot simpler. I think,
I've heard you call it the God view before, which I like.
yeah, I, yeah, without being religious or anything, we,
Not religious in that sense, but an overarching view of.
yeah, exactly. It's like a God view, so to speak, of all your data in one system, allowing you to make better decisions, quicker decisions, and also managing your workflow a lot better. Saying, hey, I want attendees to go to these hotels with these suites, and I want to make sure exhibitors are taken care of in these hotels, so they don't have to walk 20 kilometers to get to their hotel. And anyhow, so that is essentially the premise of a room block management software or a housing management software.
No, I like that. And obviously, everyone's looking for something to streamline their workflows, but having the ability to add more on demand or change your room block management on demand is pretty key. So I think that that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
What would you say is the difference between the actual housing platform and a housing provider?
In the sense of, wow, my Slack is buzzing off. Anyhow, um,
Thus, one of the pitfalls of virtual events. Let me tell you
tell me
that.
about it. But I guess the bigger thing is they actually work hand in hand. So the platform does support the housing company's initiatives, essentially. So the housing company will do the contract negotiations for you, making sure that you've had the best negotiations possible. That's very important. And then with all that information that they have gathered and, put the best forward for you, then they would use a software like ours or any others that would help them manage that better, essentially. So I think that's very important is that the platform is agnostic on who is using it. That's very important. Like it could be directly for the event manager, or it could be directly for a marketing company or for a housing management company. So needs to be fluid enough and adaptable to all uses, essentially. Yeah.
Nice. No, I like that too. And obviously, I like a lot of the things that you say. Otherwise, I wouldn't be working alongside you, right?
Right.
But there's always that line, and I'll say this obviously because obviously we have partners that are housing providers, and we work directly also with associations as well. And some of the questions that I field is, when do I actually need a housing provider, and when can I just use a platform itself? And
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I mean, and I'll give you a chance to answer that too. But I think my take on that is a lot of times as an event organizer, you're crazy busy, and your focus is on the actual event, and that's where housing providers can come in with key insights, obviously with relationships from the hotel to the CVBs, with all of them to make sure you're getting the best rate. Now, sometimes where at least I've seen it, and based on previous history, is if we're going back to the same hotel or the same city and the same location pretty much every year, that's where maybe the housing platform itself, being self-managed, could come into play for you because you've already had those negotiated contract rates with the hotels. So just want to weigh in on your thoughts on that.
Um, I think you're correct. I mean, there's you've kind of answered the question yourself, but really the biggest thing with that is yes, all the stuff you say is definitely important. On top of it, the bigger question, not the question, the bigger need is integrations as well. So that does help make sure that your data is through and through. One of the things that's important is how things are integrated, so not partially integrated. So that's absolutely important, from registration platforms to CRMs to directly into the housing platform and then pushing that data back. So the whole idea is that you should be able to do differential lists and then see, hey, this person registered and this person didn't make a reservation. Let me market to them and handle that communication a lot better. The whole idea is to get people to book within the contracted block.
And that flows nicely into the next question. What should you actually consider in a housing platform?
Oh, this is
Integrations, obviously, being
hopefully not a biased question.
yeah, right.
No,
Integrations,
but
obviously, being an important part. But if you want to expand upon that or add a little bit more, what should you consider when looking into that?
100%. I think for the customers and the partners that we work with, the number one thing is it has to be easy to use. Like it needs to be able to speak to you, it should work within your workflow. It needs to be simple enough to handle a very complex task. And, I always say if it looks simple, it's not simple in the sense of how it has been designed and built. Because there's a lot of thought and a lot of process that's gone through it. Like us, we actually take feedback from our clients and partners, and we actually drive the platform based on that feedback, which is important because they're the experts. I'm not an expert. I'm a tech nerd. Like that's what I know, right? So that's number one. Number two is, do the features that are in the platform work for you? There's a lot of bells and whistles and a lot of different platforms, but does it work for you? Does it make your life easier? Does it make your life meaningful? Essentially, does it allow you to go home and chill out with your kids and have a great evening and not stress about room block management? Because that's the last thing you should be thinking about in the evening with your family,
I love that,
right?
especially during these times, and as you're evaluating any technology, but
Well, maybe if you
specifically.
want to break now, you can worry about.
Right? Okay, so that's leading into our last question, which actually will be the topic of the next Resi chat as well. So we're not going to go too deep into it, but kind of a yes or no with a little bit of a teaser going on.
Ooh, I like
Okay.
it.
Can you generate revenue from a housing platform?
Yes.
And that's the teaser. So the answer is yes. And actually,
Absolutely. I
yeah,
mean, there's different ways to use the platform in a way that it allows you to put client logos on it or marketing ad spaces and whatnot. So I think, I mean, the answer is yes. So you should be able to do that for sure. However, there's also other creative ways of creating revenue, but maybe that's a topic for another time, Bill.
it is actually, it's funny, as we were trying to put all of this together, I was thinking, okay, what kind of topics could we have? And as we had this conversation, I just thought of a couple more that are going to be really important for our audience out there. So it's great. Obviously, this is the huge benefit of having peer-to-peer conversations, right? And I think that's what a lot of us miss about those live events.
Yeah. I
It's
think next
something
time we
different.
should just do it live.
We definitely can. We
Let's
definitely
try and do that next
can. We'll see. We'll see all the comments coming in.
week.
All right. So the three things that I think I would like to highlight, and then Don, add on to that is one, the platform needs to actually streamline your workflow. And I think you touched on this in the beginning, but you also said it. I think even better towards the end is it needs to be meaningful for you, right?
Yeah.
The housing platform and providers and all that. Really, housing is the last thing that you should have to worry about for your event. So having the correct partner there to help you in a meaningful way so that you can spend some more time with your kids or spend some more time watching Netflix or going
Right.
for runs or doing whatever it is that you love.
Crushing
really
Ozarks,
important.
you know what I mean?
Say again?
Crushing Ozarks.
Exactly. The other one is integration.
Yeah.
It's important to make sure that that partner has integrations that are needed to support the platform, but also.
So Bill, let me share something with you. You know, there's these integrations that happen where people are like, "We are integrated." We're like, "Okay, great. How are you integrated?" I think that's very important to ask is, how are you integrated? The reason being is, let's say you have a group of people that are registered for an event. Yeah, you following me?
I'm following.
Okay. So now when I go make a reservation, that goes into the platform. When it goes into the platform, I have a group of 4. Here we go. But then only my main contact is being pushed over. What happens to the 3 here? They're forgotten.
Disappear into the
They
cloud.
disappear in the cloud. So now, when the data's back, you're only tracking the main contact. These guys are left out. So when we're looking at an integration, it's very important that all 4 people are tracked from the registration platform all the way to the reservation system and then back, because that gives you a full cycle of data. So when we're asking about integrations, that's a whole other webinar that I would love to do, because there's a lot we can talk about it. And I think the key indicator on the key question on that is really asking, how does the integration work? What extensiveness of the integration can you do? Can the integration actually give me the data that I need to do my workflow better? Or do I have to use 2 different systems to accommodate the same data, to get my data? So that's very, very, very important.
Great. The last piece of information, the last nugget, so to say, would be that yes, you can generate revenue from the housing platform. Now, even if that's not the sole purpose of what you're trying to do, and some organizers may not want to, but as we move forward and look to expand the actual revenue generation capabilities of the entire event, look at it in a holistic way, your housing platform should at least have the capability to do so.
100%. And the whole point of revenue generation, I think, definitely talk to us, Bill or me, on that. The way platforms are designed should be smart to help you generate revenue, especially how there's cuts happening on the commission packages from hotels now. You do want to try and make that up in another way, and we have some creative ways that we can navigate you through that for sure.
And that's where choosing the right partner comes into play.
And software.
And software.
Awesome.
All right, Don, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I think this is great. This is, again, something that Bill and I are trying out on a weekly basis. This is the first one, so I'm super excited. Air high five. There we go. And next week, let's try and do a live one, see how that goes, and then we'll
that's gonna be
post it
fun.
out, and there'll be no edits, so that'll be really exciting. It'll be a lot of fun. Actually, there's been no edits on this one so far, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll have to keep the blooper reel going too.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Bill.
All right. Everyone, thank you for watching the first Resichat. We look forward to speaking with you next time live. And the topic will be, creative ways to generate revenue using your housing platform.
I like it. Awesome.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.